Oh, good evening, everybody. We're just a little slow here. I should say I'm a little slow here on this 2 nights before Thanksgiving Day. Welcome to our final episode before Thanksgiving. I know it's a slow week. Some folks are already on the road. It's a little chilly and kind of gloomy in Fresno, but I understand the Central Coast weather is fantastic. 10 degrees warmer than here in Fresno, but we're going to be in the 60s all week and a low 40s. Mike Carbasi, my co-host, and of course Bill McEwen are on. Bill and Mike, good evening.
Evening, Norris.
Good evening. Mike, this is like your fourth year, or how many? I don't know how many years
Fifth
you're
year.
doing. Fifth year. Operation Gobble Gobble. Tell us what you do, and then we're going to talk about all the other beautiful places in our beautiful city that are giving away free food and turkey to folks.
Yeah, so apologies for the relaxed dress tonight. Actually, we had Operation Gobble today. So here's what we do basically. People always assume that if you live in North Fresno, you must have it made and everything's handed to you. But that's just not the case. Poverty, food insecurity impacts our friends and neighbors, and they won't even tell us because they have a lot of pride. Well, in Clovis Unified, there are two elementary schools that are in my district. One is Pinedale Elementary, one is Nelson Elementary. And we have a lot of families in need. So we work with these schools and some of our sponsors. Granville's been a sponsor in the past, of course, and we put together boxes of a complete meal for Thanksgiving: turkey, all the sides you need, rolls, potatoes. What's really important to me is canned cranberry sauce. It's just a personal preference I have.
Hey, is that low
sugar?
Hold on, is that low sugar or is that a high sugar?
Of course not. It's Thanksgiving. It's not low sugar.
Okay.
But we do this, and the real point of this all is poverty can be very traumatizing. Some of the core memories we form is around the dinner table with the family. Not all families do that all the time, but typically they can point to Thanksgiving and maybe Christmas being that opportunity. And we want to make sure those kids and those families are able to celebrate Thanksgiving and form those core memories around the dinner table in a positive environment. But one thing that I think people find surprising is about 60 of the 400 meals go to our 144th Fighter Wing. A lot of the families there, even though they are serving our country, they face the poverty line too, and they have food insecurity. So we partner with them to ensure they can have the same experience we get to have. And it means a lot to be able to work with a lot of folks to make this possible. The coolest thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, are the dozens of high schoolers through the Assistance League that come out there every year. And some of them, it was their third or fourth year. One girl, it was her fifth year, and now she's graduating. She's done. But they come out there year after year on Monday to prep, and then Tuesday in their mornings, not playing video games. They're out there meeting with people and showing them someone cares. And sometimes people will actually share their story. Not oftentimes. They get their food and they go. One woman's living in a shelter now, has a very nice car, but again, don't assume things. People's lives can change in just a moment, and she's going through a very hard time. So being able to work with others to provide that relief means a lot.
Thank you, Mike, for doing that 5 years in a row. We're going to play. We don't have the audio on this. Mike just give you a great explanation, but we'll show a brief, maybe only 30-second version of the video on what happened this afternoon. By the way, I'm so excited. Well, I'm glad that you said that there's veterans or actually active service members, families are in need, which is really surprising when you think of the war machine. That you think, gosh, the war machine makes so much money, but it's not really the rank and file down here. It's the industrialist and the weapons providers that make a lot of the money. But let's play a brief clip of Mike's activities from today.
Hi, this is Fresno City Council President Mike Carbasi out here at Pinedale Elementary in Northwest Fresno to kick off the 5th annual Operation Gobble right here in Fresno. Thanks to the generosity of really important partners like Caglia Environmental and Valley Children's Hospital, we are able to put money together to create 400 complete Thanksgiving meals for families. The box will include not only a turkey, which is essential to a meal, but all the other fixings like buns, mashed potatoes, stuffing, pumpkin pie, and what's really important to me, canned cranberry sauce. This is the actual way to go. None of that fresh stuff. This is what I like. But families will be able to enjoy the memories that we all get to share, and poverty and being in need will not be a barrier, and that's our goal with Operation Gobble. Recipients include families at Nelson Elementary and Pinedale Elementary and Clovis Unified, as well as groups like Resiliency Center of Fresno, Marjorie Mason Center, our Fresno Police and Fire Chaplaincy, who've identified families that are also in need, not just in Northwest Fresno, but throughout this city. That's part of our goal to ensure that we can provide for others during this time of need. And it's a lot of support from residents in Northwest Fresno that have given small donations as well. That goes a heck of a long way to make this possible. We really need to thank the Assistance League of Fresno. They have done such a great job. These are high school kids that instead of being at home playing video games on their week off, they were here Monday and Tuesday here today to ensure that families in our community can have the same kind of things they're lucky to have on Thanksgiving Day. Thank you all for your support, and we're going to make this a very successful Operation Gobble right here in Pinedale Elementary.
That's very cool. That's really very cool. Let me turn to Bill McEwen. Bill, how many other organizations besides Mike Carbasi, Mike, I guess Council President Carbasi, but how many other organizations are providing, free turkey and Thanksgiving meals or events today and this week?
Thank you, Daria. So we'd be remiss if we didn't point out that the Hoover High area and Council Member Tyler Maxwell, they had their Operation Gobble on Sunday. It was in the Hoover High School parking lot there. I think they said that they would be able to present a Thanksgiving dinner in a box for up to 600 families. And we had a story on GV Wire on that, quite a bit of interest. So I imagine there wasn't any turkey left over. And I want to ask Mike, are any other council members part of this?
Yes, in fact, now there are 4 offices total. So myself, Councilmember Maxwell, Councilmember Perea, and Councilmember Vang each have their own Operation Gobble. We're going to call it something different pretty soon. I don't know, Operation Gravy Train. I will figure something out. We'll figure it out. But yes, and it's great. And you know what? You've also got a lot of other groups we work with, like some of the recipients we work with are like the Marjorie Mason Center, the Fresno Police and Fire Chaplaincy, the Resiliency Center, Valley Caregiver Resource Center, the Troy Center. And these are all people we say, how many vouchers do you need? So it's not just Pinedale while we focus on the kids. We also try to see who else, because they know people that need help right now. And we
Yeah.
work with all those groups too.
And so when we look around the city, we know there's a massive operation going on at City Center by Fresno Mission. They're feeding people with their grocery market. We've written about that and explained that to the people, how it's available. And then Thanksgiving will be served there as well. Traditionally also at the Poverello House, and many churches throughout our city come together and invite families to make sure that everyone can have a Thanksgiving meal. And, I think it's so important, and it speaks of Fresno. We know we have poverty here. We're working to address it, but at the same time, we have a lot of people trying to help others and lift people up. And, I hate to do this, but point out that President Trump and the Republican Party in Congress basically going down to the wire to see that people didn't have food on their table this Thanksgiving. Thank goodness there was a compromise and government funding resumed. But, getting help to a lot of government employees is still going to take time. They haven't caught up yet just because the shutdown is over. They're short paychecks and the like. And they're included in these families that need assistance in our city of Fresno.
Great point.
Yeah.
Great points,
Yeah,
Bill.
I want to add.
Anything? Go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
Mike.
please go ahead. Go, Darius. Go ahead.
No. I was going to move on to the next topic. If you have something on this.
For District 2, just as a heads up, we use minimal taxpayer dollars. We raise money for Operation Gobble. Some of it's in-kind donations or other groups. That way, we're not using tax dollars for this. There are, and again, like I said, a lot of people, Granville in the past many times has been supportive of this as well. So it goes a very long way.
Hopefully in 26 we'll be
You always do.
back
You
in.
guys are always,
Yeah.
no, you guys are always supportive. Yeah.
Okay. With talking about government, Bill, there's a poll that we were talking about before the show started on President Trump and the Latinos. You want to, let's put the graphic up. It's a Pew Research, right? Yeah, Pew Research Center poll on Latinos, mostly negative views of the president's job performance, immigration and economic policy. Bill?
So I think one of the big takeaways from this poll, and I'll point out that Pew is nonpartisan, is that for the last 20 years, every year when you asked Hispanics in the United States, how is your life going? A larger number every year for the last 20 years have said, it's getting better. Very important, very optimistic about the United States, very optimistic about the future for themselves and their families. And now, for the first time in 2 decades, we see that 68% of Latino respondents to this poll said that life is getting worse. They overwhelmingly disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy and strongly disapprove of his handling on immigration. I believe more than half say he's gone too far with these immigration rates. And why is this important? Because Hispanic voters shifting away from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party really helped put President Trump in office. Their votes were crucial in those 7 battleground states that Trump won, nearly all of them except Ohio by razor thin margins. And now they're turning back. Where they will go, I'm not sure. It's possible that they just turn off and tune out from politics and government. It's also possible that they go back to the Democratic Party, but big implications here for the 2026 midterms. And they're pointing to the return of Democratic control of the House of Representatives.
I said it here a few weeks ago. We're going to have a blue wave, maybe a blue tsunami, unless there's massive deflation in food prices, housing, rent, which rent and housing is going to be really difficult to react quickly. But there's a lot of levers that President Trump can pull to pull inflation, get inflation under control by basically reversing a lot of the tariffs that were implemented and increased. And I know that's a kind of a seesaw. Tariffs go up, come back down, go back up again, come back down. I mean, he's negotiating to get a better deal for our country with some of our trade partners. China still out there. That I don't think there's any major resolution on Chinese tariffs except for the parts that were exempted because of, I think, was it Apple, Google, Nvidia, and a few other high-tech companies. But this is going to be, unless there's really some really low, awesome inflation numbers. Awesome meaning 1%, 1.5%, sub 1%, which means some of these tariffs come back, get removed, especially when as it comes to food prices. And I know he's working on, what was it, the imports from South America on beef, et cetera, to bring beef prices back down. But unless that happens, I see a big blue wave, maybe a tsunami, at least in the House of Representatives. But we'll see. Bill, what's going on in Fireball? We have a
So that's our most read story of the day, and it talks about how the immigration blitz affects the town of Firebaugh. Firebaugh's population doubles at harvest time. They do grow almonds out there, but they also grow a lot of melons, and those are very labor intensive. And so the crop was picked, it was pulled in, but what the reporters were hearing out there is just a general sense that, hey, life is better in Mexico. We don't want to live in fear. And so the farmers that are invested in melons and other crops that require a seasonal picking force, there's a fear out there. What happens if they don't come back? And so this is a rather lengthy story, good story to read for people when they're off. And the other thing, it gives real insight for people around the country to the town that Bill's quarterback and NFL MVP Josh Allen grew up in. And, I know he gets kidded from time to time about, being the farmer's son. And I'm not sure that people believe him, but his family is heavily invested in agriculture out there. And indeed, Josh grew up there. But the story points and gives a complete picture of Fireball.
Thank you for that, Bill. Mike, did you have a comment on?
So I think that so you recall there was a lot of talk about can the president run for a second consecutive term or a third term? And for the first time in the last month, he finally admitted a couple of times, well, the Constitution's pretty clear. I can't run for a third term. And why the hesitation? He's a lame duck president. Let's not forget that. He doesn't have to care about what his approval ratings are. He already got elected for a second term. But as Bill mentioned, the midterms are a problem. And I want to talk about just perspective of where he might be in trouble. Um, and it comes down to the economy. So I like to watch Columbo. It's just something I do. I've joked about it in the campaign many times. I was watching an episode the other day, and it was from 1976. And he was talking about money in this episode, that he made $11,000 as an LA police detective. That was back 50 years ago. So 50 years later, the average salary of a police detective is 110,000. So it's gone up 10 times. Back in 76, the average price of a house in California was $48,000. Today, it's nearly $900,000, 18 and a half times more. So wages have not gone up the same as housing. Now, that you could say it's a California problem, but California is not the only state facing this issue. These lumber tariffs have hurt us, for example. Overregulation at the federal level has hurt us, for example. So I think this is where the American dream, it's a concept more than a reality now. And it comes down to if you can't afford we talked about Operation Gobble, the dinner table. You can't afford the rent or your own home to have a dinner table to have those core memories, then that's the ball game. I think that's where he's going to be in trouble.
Mike, I'm so glad you brought that up. There is an opinion page coming out from me. I think sometime middle of next week that talks about unaffordable housing to so many folks. Average age of a first-time home buyer over a decade ago, maybe 2 decades ago, was 28. 28 today, pushing closer to 40. And City of Fresno, and I know you were one of 2 people that voted against it, just enacted a new tax up to $12,000 a home to reduce people's driving habits, to get people out of the car and into a bus. Now it's a state law; they have to, roll it out. But there are so many better ways of rolling it out than the way City of Fresno chose to roll it out. And of course, regulation in multifamily construction, regulation accounts to between 30 and 40% of the cost of building multifamily. And California is, and I don't want to say it's just the legislator that is not helping find a solution for that. But there's a lot of folks, NIMBYs, they don't want apartment complexes built, on the edge or in the inner city. Social justice groups don't want market rate. Sometimes market rate housing built. I shouldn't say social justice groups. Some folks don't. They oppose it, and there's no CEQA reform. There's no black and white rules. Now, you opposed that apartment complex around the corner in northwest Fresno, actually close to where I live, which I support your position because nobody wants to be surprised. I'm going to buy a single family home. I don't want a 4-story apartment behind me or 3-story apartment behind me. Please tell me this is coming. This goes back to Mayor Swearingen, where the advertising, the notification was, here's, we're going to run some ads, take some advertising in the Fresno Bee. But that's a story for another day. But our housing is very expensive because of folks that stop housing and overregulation by our state legislator and by the, unfortunately, local municipalities, including the city of Fresno. So,
yeah, I look forward to reading the article. We have a lot of work to do. It's interesting. You know, you mentioned the apartments. So we just approved an item, a text amendment, which means if you have a office building in a certain area of town, or you have vacant office land, you will be able to build housing on that property with a more expedited process. Now, some provisions were put in place for places like Northwest Fresno to prevent the very thing you talked about, that 4-story apartment complex. So it's not done without the consent of the people. But it's funny. The same people that aren't affected by the policy are protesting what gets built in Southeast Fresno. You're not affected by that. But it's just this dynamic we have where we have a lot of folks that they want all the great services we have to offer as a city, and we want to pay for it, but they don't want our city to grow. And that's a problem. The wealth and the expertise has left Fresno and gone to Madera and Clovis, and this is by design. There are people that used to be in this city that didn't want any more growth of what they call sprawl. The result is we focus only on building in the parts of the city that cost the most to build in, that only have what are called affordable housing. That's not housing for someone like you or me, or a teacher, or a paralegal, or someone that works in a trade can afford. It's housing that the government will subsidize for you that pays no property tax. That I'm sorry to say is a burden on the system. We have to subsidize it. So it's a topsy-turvy situation that we're dealing with here in the city of Fresno. But we have to grow. Growth is good because the market will tell you. You can't force people to live on Blackstone. They don't want it. They're willing to drive all the way to Madera, have a 20-30 minute commute, which pollutes our air, then live in this city in a home or a apartment they don't want to live in. People have, this is a democracy, right? We have to responsibly respond to the people. But some people believe, no, we tell the people what to do. I just don't believe that crap. By the way, how dare you cook with a gas appliance? How dare you?
and by the way, you're not going to see any more gas appliances probably in about 12 to 18 months in new housing developments in California, at least in city of Fresno, Clovis. Mike, briefly tell us before we wrap. We have one more story, which is about Fresno Unified, but uh, before we wrap up, tell us about Costco. What can you talk about Costco, or is it still in the judicial? What is that thing
It's
called?
still in
Judicial thing?
process. Yeah, it's a good question. So we just recently took a vote on Costco. It's still going through the process. Costco is very interested in staying in Fresno. I don't agree with the judge's ruling. I don't think it really addressed a lot of the arguments we made. But it's California. The people suing just stuck everything to the wall and saw what stick. A couple things stuck, but I think we can work around that. We're going to work very hard, including the mayor, to ensure that those jobs stay here in Fresno, that tax base stays here in Fresno, because you know what? I'm not going to discriminate and say what are good jobs and bad jobs. It's jobs. And if people are willing to work them and Costco actually has benefits, we should fight for those jobs and keep them here in Fresno. Because what
Mike,
happens?
I'm sorry. Please finish. Please
No,
finish.
go ahead.
Please tell the audience where that Costco is, because if
Yeah.
we may have some new folks that don't know where is this new
So
Costco going up.
yeah, we have two Costco's in Fresno, one on Abbey Street off of Herndon and Blackstone. The other one is currently at Shaw by Golden State. And if you know, the traffic is just unbelievable out there. And it's one of the earliest Costco's in California, actually. It's outgrown its space. This new one is going to be really close to Veterans Boulevard at Riverside and Herndon, right by the 99 in Northwest Fresno. It went through the council over a year ago. And they were required to make concessions to upgrade Herndon Avenue, put in netting for the golf course, do some mitigation, install stop signs for the traffic. So they actually had to put a lot to make this happen, but we were able to get those concessions out of them. But like everything in California, the court system, we had an out-of-town lawyer and some local EJ folks that don't want us to have jobs. It's hard to explain. And they don't even live in the neighborhood. But they opposed it and they got a little victory, but they won the battle, but we're going to win the war. We're going to fight for working families. You're not going to stop us.
That's awesome. Costco creates a lot of jobs. Of course,
We do.
a lot of folks, a lot of us shop at Costco, and sometimes we shouldn't. I'm talking about myself. You buy stuff you don't really need.
I
But
see you more at Costco than on Unfiltered.
yeah,
It's funny. You run all the time. Yeah.
um, okay. Anything else, Mike, on City of Fresno? Anything?
No, I just, Bill's been doing this a long time. He's been covering a lot. And where do you think when we're talking about SEDA now, the Southeast Development Area. We had the West area, no one cared about that, but for some reason they care about SEDA. Let me ask you a question. Where did that shift happen? Because there was some anti-sprawl in the 90s and that shifted. Why do you think Fresno's such a big target for folks that they don't want us building anymore? I mean, what sense do you make of this, Bill?
Oh, I just think there's a certain mentality in this town, and it's promoted by out-of-town interests. The late George Hofstadter used to say that more people in the state of California received their master's degrees studying poverty in Fresno County than any other subject for master's degrees. And, George would go to, these so-called seminars, before webinars, seminars about poverty in Fresno, and people that have never really been out there and ever developed anything or really ever addressed the issue would give all their theories about it. And we still have that hanging around. And also, and I'm serious about this, there's a certain segment of society that believes that, and it's promoted by planners, that if you have the right planning, you can solve all of society's ills. And planning is important. I've been an advocate for good, solid planning for, more than 50 years, written about it extensively. It's not the number one topic on the list. The number one is education. Number two is public safety. Then I might put planning in there. But if you have a solid education system, then you have a great workforce that's a varied workforce, and it can attract all kinds of investment, industry, and jobs. For 50 years, Fresno has always said, oh, if we only land this company, we'll have it made. So it's people that believe in the silver bullet, and there's no silver
Right.
bullet in life.
Yeah.
It's hard work, and education's the backbone of that. And then finally, and this is why I raised my hand, Fresno Planning Commissioner Kathy Bray said, look, if all these Fresno residents don't want SEDA, we'll just send it back to LAFCO, and then Clovis or Sanger can take it
Right.
on. And, there's no real recognition in the environmental justice community today about the realities of that. And I have to say, the way Fresno always screws things up, maybe it is better off going to Clovis, because Clovis is showing they can do a pretty good job at the urban village concept, where people live, work, and play, and they grow their tax base. My final thought on this, though, is I agree with the environmental justice crowd on one thing. For SEDA to move forward, it has to pay for itself. In other words, other Fresno residents shouldn't be subsidizing this.
No, and I think that's fair. I only wish just a month ago when we approved the West Area Plan, they asked how are we going to pay for it. No one gave a crap. All of a sudden with SEDA, they care. And I wonder where that comes from. We have a responsibility to explain how we're going to pay for it and that the residents aren't going to be saddled with it. But I think you hit a lot of salient points about we can't afford to lose SEDA to Clovis or Sanger. The reason why SEDA is, but we're going to talk about this next, is so integral is because you got Sanger and Clovis unified. You can't market Fresno Unified anymore. You just can't. No one
No,
wants to live there.
and well, not SEDA, but Clovis Unified. I said it again a few weeks ago. I'm sorry. I said it a few weeks ago. I'm repeating myself. Clovis Unified built the most attractive new shiny toy. It's called the Terry Bradley Educational Complex, which is going to be a state of the art from K through 12. I understand the stadium itself is going to blow everybody away. Really looking forward to that gym in our well, it's in Fresno County right now, but Eastern Fresno, and that's going to put a lot of pressure on folks, on the city of Fresno, to develop SADA North. And of course, the mayor's plan is not to go there yet. Maybe never, but to start on the south end. But there's going to be a lot of pressure because a great K through 12 is opening. Most of it is open. I think the last phase opens in maybe this next summer. And everybody's going to want their kid to go there. And if you don't, you're going to have to bus a lot of folks. So instead of reducing vehicle miles traveled, we're going to increase vehicle miles traveled if you don't put the housing close by.
Yeah.
And
And one thing I have,
the other thing though, on the, when we talk about the west of Fresno development area and plan, is, this is a great opportunity for Central Unified. Central Unified, if it steps up, if it has solid direction on its board, they hire very capable leadership that holds everybody in their system accountable. They have an opportunity for that area to blossom as well. And certainly that would be good for the city of Fresno.
one thing to add, and this is kind of a
Fine.
nerdy point. One of the things we've done with the financing that the EJ groups don't want to talk about is we were able to negotiate historic terms of a tax sharing agreement. So when we get property tax revenue, we have to split it with the county. And many years ago, a former mayor, this is in the 80s, and two council members decided they want to prevent sprawl. They're going to give our position away to the county. So give us more money for the hard part of town to develop and for downtown, and we'll give you more money for Copper River. I don't know why they did that, but they did it. And it's a permanent problem. We can never undo that, with the exception of SADA. So if you build in downtown, it's a 50-50 split. Again, very expensive, very difficult, a different kind of living. If you build on the periphery in growth areas like West Area or Copper River, which is high land value, property values, the county, for every dollar we get in property tax revenue, gets 62%. We only get 38. That's crazy. But for SADA, it's now 51% county, 49% city. So from 38%, we were able to increase it by 11% to help SADA pay for itself in perpetuity. That is a big deal. We'll talk more about that when the item comes to council, but I think that was a huge, huge win last year when we negotiated a new tax sharing agreement with the county so we can get our fair share.
Great job on that, but that's so important. That's one of those things most people don't pay attention to. They don't know, but years down the road, if you don't make the right deals with the county, you wake up and go, oh, you know what? Fresno has to introduce a new tax to pay for public safety. And the EJ community, environmental justice community, that says make sure SADA pays for itself. We want every development to pay for itself. We don't want it to be subsidized. And number one is bringing infrastructure, sewer, water, roads, etc. And Madera County, as again we've talked about this many times, has two great examples: Tesoro Viejo and Riverstone, that are independent. They're not connected to any other facility. And City of Fresno could follow that plan, which would save substantial amount of money, but they're choosing at this point not to do that. Of course, we want to make sure that those residents pay their share of police and fire services as they move in, so the balance of the city does not subsidize. Now, having said that, when you I've looked at a map of Fresno from the fire department, and I don't have a copy of it, but I've seen it, that shows as a heat map. The majority of the calls come from areas that produce some of the lowest property tax revenues to the city. So in some senses, other parts of the city, the higher income parts of the city, is actually subsidizing those parts. So I don't want to forget that. And that's something that the EJ community often forgets about.
Well, again, if we're going to have affordable housing and infill housing, and I say affordable, not for working families, but for those that are poor and need government assistance, they don't pay property tax. So we have to be able to subsidize that. And we don't print money. We don't run deficits in the city of Fresno. We have to run a balanced budget. So we have to have people that can pay into the system, and they've all left us. So we got to stem the tide of that.
Is there any truth? Is this a rumor, or is it a truth that Fresno is going to secede from the union?
We're going to make it a rumor right now.
Okay.
Just District 2. We're going to make our
go.
own little city.
Bill brought up Center Unified, which is doing fantastic things. They just opened up a gorgeous new elementary school, kind of not in the middle part of town. What street is it on? Fruit? No, I'm not sure exactly. I've been there. I'm gonna say it's on Fruit and Shields area. Uh, Gorgeous, brand new facility, and of course they're wrapping up their Justin Garza latest edition, which is the Performing Arts Center, which I understand is going to be state of the art. I'm going to see if it's going to be nicer than the Terry Bradley Center that just opened up in well, not Clovis. It's not Fresno. It's in Fresno County. Maybe in future city of Fresno. Um, Last item is Fresno Unified. Bill, was that one of your stories? Let's put that up. And then we're going to share but a few of our Thanksgiving slides as we wrap up the night. Bill?
So a very important story, the Trump administration threatening to withhold $250 million in funding, primarily to help students get up to grade level. And this is over DEI policies. Of course, the Trump administration is anti-DEI. And so they restructured the Black Student Achievement Program, commonly known as A4. And now this is about the wording and really emphasizing that this extra help for students that want to learn, for students that want to get up to grade level, is available to everybody and that needs it and qualifies for it. And so the name goes away, and the name did emphasize Black students, and now it's about those that need it. So that's a good thing. People that defend the old name say, they're afraid now that Black students won't realize it's available and those kinds of things. And I think that's just horsepucky. So Trump administration's anti-DEI, same emphasis is going forward, but it's about the naming of it. It's about how it's presented to the public. So kudos to Fresno Unified for getting on top of this and protecting that vital funding.
Great. And then to wrap up the evening, we have a few very cool slides for you. Sentiments from around the valley. We're just going to go through those slides. And then the three of us will bid you good night. Okay. There we go. Okay, final thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, I'm just going to make a request from our viewers, and we have a lot of loyal viewers. Please do me this favor. Do not talk politics at the dinner table. It is not worth it. If you're truly secure in your beliefs, you don't have to convince your family member to be a Democrat or a Republican. It doesn't matter. Put that aside. The most important thing we can do is honor the historic traditions of this country by coming together regardless of our differences and breaking bread together. That's really important we have that. So please, not worth it. It doesn't matter who the president is. It doesn't matter if it's Biden or Trump. They're both having turkey. They're having a good time. They'll be just fine. Just focus on your family and having quality time together and let all the bygones be bygones just for one day. It's a short moratorium on pettiness. And just have a great time and enjoy the holiday and be with your loved ones. And if you haven't spoken to someone in a while, give them a call. Don't be afraid to make the first move. I know it's difficult, but hey, you never know. Maybe you'll have a future year of renewed relationships with the people that you love. That's my soapbox. Forgive me.
That's awesome, Mike. That's really awesome. Bill?
So Thanksgiving memory, my fondest memories are Thanksgiving when our family lived in Germany. It's called West Germany in those days. And, you spend 3 or 4 years away from the United States, you have this yearning for it. And Thanksgiving was always a time of coming together and looking forward to the future. as a family and doing it together. One thing I have to say is to all the viewers is appreciate all those in your life. I'm now of an age where it seems like I have a friend that's dying, weekly. In the last month or so, they just keep coming. And if you're a young person, you think, oh, that day will never come for me. And you don't have to worry about it. But, you get up there past 70 or so, and you lose friends that are very dear to you. So that makes Thanksgiving for me this year even more meaningful. And I like what Mike said about reaching out. You're not going to do it on Thanksgiving, but after you've had that great feast going forward, think every day, who's a friend I haven't called lately? Just call them and say, hey, I was thinking of you. What's going on in your life? How are things going on? That 5 or 10 minutes will be a great investment in your emotional health and in the emotional health of the person that you call. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy
Thank
Thanksgiving,
you.
Bill.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you, Bill, for those great points. No comments from, no Thanksgiving comments from our loyal viewers. I want to thank all of our GBWire Unfiltered viewers for the last 12 months of watching, attending, commenting, sometimes debating really hard uh, with one another, sometimes with us. Grateful for your support. GBWire is growing incredibly. And I have friends that signed up a few years ago. I have a very staunch Republican friend. And about a year ago, she said, I'm going to drop GBWire. You're too left. And then I have folks on the left that have dropped as well. They go, you know what? You're too far to the right. GBWire is too conservative. So but we try to cover, we try to create balance on the local stories. We really want to expose the facts and the truth, and of course there's always bias, and because we're all humans. AI and robots haven't taken over completely the news business, but we're very I'm very grateful. I think all of us are at GVR are very grateful and thankful for the support for Central California viewers that are making our success possible, increasing our viewership. And of course, I am very thankful to as an immigrant to live in this beautiful country. I say it frequently. Some of you are tired of hearing me say it, but this is really God's country. We have so much to be thankful for, so many things we take for granted. I wish every American after high school will go on at least a 1 month experiment or living in a third world country. You don't have to go far. There's lots of them in North America, Central and South America, of course, Middle East, to see famine, to see war, to see poverty, to see the folks that don't have drinking water every day. Forget internet, forget heat. Of course, Gaza is going through that right now, which is I'm really, really ashamed of our country not stepping up and putting an end to that. But that's we'll probably have a end of the year a big event on Gaza. We'll cover a lot of those. But by and large, I'm very grateful for this beautiful country, uh, and we have too much good in our country to let it. I don't want to say wither away and not be the major shining city upon a hill that Ronald Reagan referred to.
Yeah.
Mike, you had something you want to add?
I don't think you should apologize for saying that. I think we need more. I mean, look, you're an immigrant to this country like my parents are. I'm lucky I was born here, but I was able to study abroad. So when you go to other countries, I mean, I love the idea of sending Americans to go elsewhere just for a little while, because you're going to find out, oh, so you're saying isn't a grocery store at every corner with fresh fruits and vegetables, and if I don't have
Yeah.
money, the government will give me money. You're saying I can't just criticize the government and say F you to the president, whoever it is, without the government officials coming and beating the crap out of me. Those are things we have, and you don't have that in other countries. Now, we've worried about losing those rights at one point or another, but we've always made our way. So I think it's what else to be thankful for. We're very lucky to be here in this country. I have one question for you guys. Favorite side dish. You can't say turkey. Favorite Thanksgiving side dish. What is it? And least
Beets,
favorite. Most favorite and least favorite.
beets, cooked beets with the leaves. I mean, I'm
That's your
sorry,
favorite?
cooked, steamed, steamed. Yes, that's one of my
Okay.
all-time favorite uh, dishes.
Okay.
Bill, are you Bill? You're
Oh,
on
you're
mute.
muted, Bill.
So my favorite side dish is Italian green beans, cooked
Really?
with my wife's mother's recipe.
What is your least favorite, gentlemen?
Wait a minute, Mike. What about yours?
You know it's the cranberry sauce.
Okay.
I like 5 times I've said that.
Okay.
Least favorite.
Well, look at me. I can't possibly have a least favorite.
Okay.
It's all
My-
good.
Mine are beets. I'm kidding. I'm teasing. Probably the yams. They're so good for you. I just don't eat yams.
Well, they're great. Cooked basically raw with a little butter on them. But in your case, Mike, you need to put a lot of marshmallows and syrup on them.
That's what
Beets
makes it
with-
fun. There you go.
I steam the beets with the leaves, with the
No, I'm
skin
only
on,
teasing.
by the which is adds a lot of nutrition. And then, of course, you got to wash it thoroughly, and then steam it for about 20 minutes. Slice
No,
it
they're very
up.
healthy. Yeah. Is there
Very healthy.
is there a least favorite typical
I can't.
uh
I mean, yeah. Some of the meat.
it's hard to have a
maybe.
least favorite, right? It's all good. So-
Liver. There we go. Cod liver oil is very, very healthy and good for you.
What kind of a
But-
Thanksgiving dinner are you having? You're coming to my
But
house this
I'm
year.
not gonna have cod liver with dinner. So maybe how about
Okay.
that? Okay.
There you go.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. On
Thank you
that
to our
note,
audience.
it's a wrap. Thanks everybody.
Thank you.